at some points while I was there because I was eating so much. But by the time I got home, I figured I gotta jump on a scale, see how much weight I gained. I had lost 5 pounds in that whole time. But man, the food.
On joka puolella Suomea, mutta etelässä ei niin paljon, kun suot on kuivattuja.
Olá pessoal, bem-vindos a mais um vídeo nesse canal. Nós somos cidadãos do terceiro mundo e nesse canal nós reagimos ao primeiro mundo. Nesse vídeo a gente vai reagir a 10 coisas que me assustaram na Finlândia.
Então pedimos que, por favor, você considere se inscrever, ative as notificações e também deixe mais sugestões lá no nosso Instagram para mais vídeos como esse. E agora vamos para a reação.
Good morning. Hyvää huomenta. These jeans are definitely on their last legs. Get it? Last legs. I'm just here to entertain myself. Fall of 2019, I took a trip to Finland, and even though I'm Finnish, I still found there were things that freaked me out about Finland that I just wasn't expecting. So today we have the top 10 things that freaked me out about Finland. Very David Letterman. Number 10. Able to buy piiraka and maksalaatikko in the stores like it's normal. Karjalan piiraka right in the cooler. Maksalaatikko. Those are things that take time and effort to prepare and to make for your family and to enjoy and special occasions and things like that. And here you guys are just willy-nilly buying them in a corner store. Not even a grocery store. They have them in a grocery store, but in a corner store, they're right there with voimuna. You know, it just, I couldn't believe it. Number 9, eggs in the store. You walk into the store to buy eggs, and they're not in the fridge. They're just sitting out there on the counter. This freaked me out. I had to do a little bit of research on this, and I found out why. They wash their eggs in North America. So after they wash the eggs, it takes off the protective membrane. So after that, it needs to be refrigerated. In Europe, I believe it's Europe, all of Europe, I'm not sure how many countries do this, but in Europe, in Finland, they don't wash the eggs while they're going through production. So it still has that protective membrane, so you don't have to put it on the fridge, you just put it on the counter.
É exatamente o que nós fazemos em nosso país.
Mas eu tô surpresa porque eu não sabia que os ovos eram lavados e tinha que ficar do lado de fora, mas o que a gente faz aqui, a Finlândia também faz. Então, que coincidência incrível.
I couldn't believe that. I had to look that up when I got home and figure out why they can have the eggs on the counter. Okay, I'm not throwing it at the camera anymore. This one's a couple personal ones in here that really freaked me out. Hearing people speaking Finnish. Now, I grew up in a very, not very populated, but there was a very strong Finnish community in the town where I grew up in Northern Ontario. Most of those towns around Northern Ontario had really great Finnish communities. It was so much fun to grow up there. But if I ever heard somebody speaking Finnish, like if I was walking down the street or down the mall and I heard somebody speaking Finnish, I would automatically turn and look because odds are I knew who that person was. But going to Finland, everybody's speaking Finnish. I was there for 3 weeks, and even at the end of 3 weeks, I'd hear somebody speaking Finnish, and I feel like I want to look to see who it is because this must be somebody I know if they're speaking Finnish, right? So it was interesting the first couple days, but it wouldn't go away after the 3 weeks. So that really freaked me out. This one, it was jaw-dropping. Okay? It was literally jaw-dropping. I walked into the hotel to check in. They asked what my name was, Roy Resinen, and she just wrote it down. After I said my last name, I was ready to spell it, and she's already writing it down. She knew how to spell my last name. Never, ever, 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 ever in my life has that happened. It was amazing.
Caramba, eu acho incrível porque ele compartilha a experiência dele e assim, a gente só pode imaginar, né? Mas eu acho totalmente natural porque a Finlândia é um país incrível, né? Então, assim, pessoas do mundo todo chegam e se surpreendem porque realmente é um país muito adorável, né? Com uma cultura incrível.
Sim, e com uma educação fantástica. E é impressionante que ele tá mencionando aqui que a pessoa sabia, inclusive, soletrar o nome dele.
Sim.
Number 6. This one's a little sad. But Finland, you're doing an amazing job. I'll give you points for that for sure. Panhandling. Tried to keep an eye out for panhandlers, and I didn't see any. You have your buskers, like you got people singing on the side of the road, which was really cool, or playing the accordion and things like that. That's nice. But when you got people that are genuinely homeless and need help, that's a little sad because I know that can be definitely very rough. But Finland has an initiative. I made a note just so I make sure I get this right. Finland is the only country in the EU where their homeless rates have gone down over the last few years. That was impressive. Great job. Housing First initiative, where they started to take an initiative for homelessness, is that very first priority, get somebody into a house. Then look at getting treatment for whatever mental illness, substance abuse, whatever the issues are, that comes second. First, get them off the street, get a roof over their heads, get them a warm place to sleep. Very, very good approach. In Canada, we have the last numbers I could find, 130,000 homeless people. In Finland, 5. I'm getting old.
Esse projeto da Finlândia é incrível. Se eu não estou enganado, a gente já fez um vídeo falando sobre isso e realmente é um programa fantástico. Isso que a Finlândia faz de tirar as pessoas da rua é fantástico. A gente deveria estar fazendo isso. A gente tem algumas pequenas iniciativas, infelizmente não no âmbito do nosso governo, mas é um exemplo, né? A Finlândia serve como exemplo. Sim. E é realmente um trabalho maravilhoso.
In Finland, 5,482. Okay, Canada's a bigger country. Let's do it per capita. Per 10,000 people in the population, Canada has 36 homeless people for every 10,000 people in the population. For Finland, 9. There's 9 homeless people for every 10,000. Let's try the United States, a lot bigger population. 17 homeless people per 10,000. Come on, Canada. Get your shit together.
Agora, o que eu acho muito interessante é que ele menciona essa questão do tamanho, né? E é claro que isso tem que ser levado em conta na questão da administração. Porém, eu acho que aqui no nosso país falta esforço. É uma coisa você de fato conseguir colocar em prática, mas outra coisa é você pelo menos tentar, né? E aqui a gente tem muito pouca iniciativa para isso.
Number 5. Now this was a surprise for me that it was something that freaked me out because it really shouldn't have freaked me out. The sauna. Now, it didn't freak me out in the sense that, oh my God, there's a sauna, I get to go to sauna. That didn't freak me out. The part that freaked me out is that they were just everywhere. You know, there was never an opportunity where I couldn't have a sauna. It was always available, and that was amazing. You know, there was one in my hotel room at one point. There's a sauna in my hotel room. You know, there was one in the hotel, a larger one you can use. Okay, for a hotel sauna. Wow. There was public saunas. One night, the one in the hotel was being cleaned. So they said, hey, just go up the road to the Usi sauna. It's a new place up there. You could have a sauna up there. What a hot sauna. It was great. I had a sauna, I had a beer, I had a snack, chatted with some of the people there in a towel. And that was in a towel in the lobby while we were having a beer. Of course, you don't wear anything in the sauna.
Ele tá fazendo uma coisa que eu quero muito que a gente faça, que a gente vá na Finlândia, que a gente converse e conheça pessoas, porque os finlandeses, eles são incríveis e deve ser realmente muito bom estar na presença deles e fazer amizades. Eles devem ser incríveis.
Sim, eu tenho muita vontade de conversar com eles, porque eles são adoráveis, né?
Desde que não seja no idioma deles.
Coffee culture. Now, this was another thing, along with the saunas, that shouldn't have freaked me out. But it did continue to surprise me, Finland. And because being Finn, coming from a Finnish family, I drink coffee. I drink lots of coffee. Not as much as I used to when I was in school, but I definitely drink a lot of coffee. The thing that freaked me out about the coffee culture in Finland, they drink more coffee per capita than any other country in the world. Statistically, Finland drinks 12 kilograms per person per year of coffee. Canada, 6.2. But in Canada, walking down the street, especially in the morning before work, every other person has got a coffee in their hand. Now, I'm not saying I didn't see that in Finland, but hardly at all did I see people walking around with a coffee in their hand compared to here in Canada. But in Finland, even the coffee shops, the majority of the coffee shops that I went to, when I asked for a coffee and I was leaving, I specifically had to ask for a paper cup to take my coffee with me, because they would automatically serve it in a ceramic cup, because they were assuming I was going to sit down and enjoy my coffee. The other thing that got me with coffee was when we go out for a meal. And it's like every time I go out to eat here, the first thing is a glass of water and a cup of coffee, and then we start to look at our menu and things like that. You know, so that's standard. But in Finland, coffee waited till after the meal. It always waited till after the meal, and I was like, I just kind of want a coffee, you know, while I sit and wait and we talk. But coffee always waited till after the meal. That was surprising. That definitely freaked me out.
E isso é uma coisa que também nós fazemos aqui no nosso país. E eu tô achando incrível como a gente tem coisas que que a gente faz coisas que os finlandeses também fazem.
É verdade, mas eu confesso que eu não sabia, né? Até pouco tempo atrás a gente viu informação sobre essa questão do café na Finlândia e eu não sabia que eles consumiam tanto café assim. Na verdade, eles parece que consomem mais que a gente, né? Então realmente estou muito surpresa com isso.
I gotta pick all these up afterwards. Number 5, the quality of the food. By far, the most underrated place I have ever visited as far as food is concerned. The food was just always good.
But rumor has it we're having reindeer lasagna for dinner. So that's where I'm on my way to now.
Particularly the cafes, the desserts were, I didn't get a chance to eat them all. I tried. And then to go to the markets, and the open-faced sandwiches, they were just, I tried to eat as many as I could, but I could not. And the bread.
Uau.
Vários tipos de pães.
Sim.
I'm gonna be so fat.
It was just so much. I ate my stomach physically hurt at some points while I was there because I was eating so much. But by the time I got home, I figured I gotta jump on a scale, see how much weight I gained. I had lost 5 pounds in that whole time. But man, the
On
food.
joka puolella Suomea, mutta etelässä ei niin paljon, kun suot on kuivattuja.
Mas não é a primeira vez que eu vejo as pessoas falando sobre a questão da qualidade da comida na Europa e até na questão também das pessoas comerem lá e não engordarem, né? Pela questão da farinha. Eu não entendo bem, mas é que eu realmente vejo muitas pessoas falando sobre esse ponto.
Sim, e isso apenas confirma a visão que nós temos sobre eles pelo fato de eles se alimentarem muito bem. E realmente, a gente está vendo um vídeo aqui de uma pessoa que está provando isso. Né? A comida deles é tão boa que, na verdade, você não engorda, você emagrece.
That was number 3. That was number 3. I think I said that was number 5. That was number 3. Number 2, the stillness. I knew it was more calm than it is here in Nova Scotia. Like even back home in Ontario, it's more calm than it is here in Nova Scotia. So I was expecting something more like what we get in Ontario. But the absolute stillness and quietness at some points, especially when we were up north, it was just so quiet.
Now, I was thinking yesterday how incredibly quiet it is here all the time. It's like almost noon.
Deve ser paraíso.
Incredibly still.
You know, I went out onto the patio just to get some fresh air, and just I had done something that made it clap, maybe clap my hands or something, and I could hear the sound reverberating out into the distance.
That's so cool.
It's hard to explain. It was just so peaceful. It really, really freaked me out. Okay, before we get to number one, I got some honorable mentions. Honorable mentions for the top 10 before we get to number one are the candy. Amazing. It's not just sugar with some food dye on it. It is really good quality candy for the most part, and especially the chocolate. It was really good. Crosswalks. People pay attention to the crosswalk lights. For the majority of the people that I've seen, you know, everybody, even if there's no cars in sight, people stop at the crosswalk light if it's red.
Bike lane, road, medium, tram, medium, and road. It's like running the gauntlet.
So you might get a green to cross that road, but it's still red to cross the tram. Or it might be still red to cross that next road. You know, so you had to pay attention. You couldn't just, oh, it's green and wander through. You had to watch, make sure what you were doing. Talking to strangers. Finns always say that they're not approachable, that they're always looking grumpy and nobody talks to each other. And sure enough, somebody sits down beside you, they're not going to say, give you any pleasantries. They just sit and do their own thing. But I forced myself onto people to talk to them because I wanted to meet as many people in the short period of time that I had. And every single time, everybody was very hospitable and welcoming and willing to talk. Hospitality, bar none. I was greeted warmly by everyone. The weather. Finns are totally oblivious to the weather. It doesn't matter if it's raining, they'll still go outside. It's cold, they're still going outside. It freaked me out. Escalators. It should have been on the top 10 somewhere. Escalators really freaked me out. Where people are going up the escalator, it's not a ride. You know, it's like you get on, you go up the stairs. When they get on the escalator, and if they're not walking up the stairs, the vast majority of them all stood to one side. So the other side, people could walk up. Here, they just stand right in the middle. If you want to walk up, you had to, oh, excuse me, come by, you know. That freaked me out. Rabbits. The size of the rabbits in Helsinki, they were huge.
The size of these rabbits.
But yeah, the city rabbits in Helsinki. The design, the architecture in the buildings, beautiful, gorgeous in Helsinki. I want to see more of the country. I know there's cities I want to see still, but in Helsinki alone, the architecture was beautiful. The Finnish design in itself they're so simple. Graveyards, the ones that I've seen while I was there, they could have been botanical gardens. You know, they were so well maintained and taken care of. It was a real pleasure to see that. And lots of people were visiting the graveyards when I was there.
Nossa, e pensar que até o cemitério lá é assim organizado, enquanto aqui no nosso país, muitos lugares, cemitério você não pode nem entrar porque pode cair, né, a sepultura lá e enfim, realmente é uma coisa, é uma loucura isso.
Reindeer up north, reindeer were just wandering around like I don't know if it can be considered domestic, but all the reindeer are owned by certain Sami families. But when they're not being, whatever they do with them, they just wander around in the wild. You know, it's like, at one point we looked up, there was a pile of reindeer sleeping on the side of the ski hill.
Reindeer hanging out on the slopes.
You know, there'd be one just wandering through the yard. You know, it was really freaky to see. people were active. You know, people walked everywhere. It's like we had somewhere to go. Well, let's walk up there. You know, it was really impressive to see. Like even elderly people, and it's like, oh yeah, it's not far. We walked, and it's like it took 30 minutes to walk there. You know, so it was great. I loved it. School outings, kids in school were always outside. Well, I'm sure not all of them everywhere, but you couldn't walk down the street with coming across a group of kids that were wandering around somewhere. Colorful suits that all the workers wear, like postal workers, construction workers, road workers. You know, they're all wearing really colorful suits. But mind you, that makes sense because in the winter months, there's a lot of darkness that you're still working. So you need to be seen. Actually, it's a law that you need to wear a reflective item on your person while you're out at nighttime. Good rule. Good rule. So those are some of the honorable mentions that I had. The number one thing that freaked me out while I was in Finland, the free range kids. It's like these kids, like little kids, are just wandering around the middle of town, just like they're normal people or something. You know, it's like, I'd see this kid, like downtown Helsinki, this kid would walk by. He couldn't have been 7 years old. And I kind of looked around and think, well, where's their parents? You know, it's like, that would, you'd never see that here in Canada. Never. Actually, there's a rule here. I'm not sure if it's right across the country, but I know here in Halifax, grades 1 to 6, when the bus comes to drop you off, your parent needs to be waiting at the bus stop, comes on the bus, one at a time, one parent at a time comes on the bus, collects their child off the bus, and then takes them off. You know, and in Finland, these kids are just wandering around on their own. You know, it was absolutely amazing, you know, to see that, you know, these kids, they're raised with this sense of independence that they could go out and that you know, there's a world out there that you're gonna go and see and you have to learn to live in it. And it was beautiful that, you know, kids could still have that kind of childhood to go out and learn to live in the world. I love that. And that totally freaked me out. That was the top 10 things that freaked me out on my trip to Finland. If you ever get a chance or if it's on your vacation plans to go somewhere in Europe, go to Finland. It will surprise you or freak you out.
You know, it's just thinking the air just feels so refreshing. That's a lifetime of memories in every bite. One thing in Finnish homes is you always take your shoes off before you go inside. Now today's goal, eat all the food. Alexandrine something. I haven't had one since I was a kid. I'm really looking forward to this. Now I just realized the one thing I didn't eat enough of yet in Finland is makkara. So one more time to the market. I don't have very much time left. I gotta get in as much salmiakki ice cream as I can. But all the profits from gambling in Finland go towards social projects like homelessness. Grab a cold beer, maybe a glass of water first. Replenish a little bit. Such a beautiful city. Still can't get over it.
Que incrível. É fascinante porque a gente vê esses vídeos e as impressões positivas que eu tenho sobre a Finlândia. Os finlandeses apenas se confirmam cada vez mais. É uma coisa impressionante. Você vê que ele fala sobre a questão das crianças andarem sozinhas. Mas isso é uma coisa que deveria ser normal, né, no mundo. E, pelo contrário, é uma coisa que tá tão perigoso que quando a gente vê um país fazendo isso, a gente não acredita, porque é muita loucura. É incrível, é um país maravilhoso.
Não, sem dúvidas, esse vídeo apenas confirma a imagem que a gente já tem da Finlândia, que é um país incrível, um país com pessoas muito inteligentes, muito simpáticas, hospitaleiras. Então isso realmente só faz com que a gente tenha mais vontade ainda de poder visitar e conhecer as pessoas e falar com as pessoas, porque a Finlândia é um país fantástico. E desde que a gente passou a reagir à Finlândia, a gente se surpreende com coisas tão parecidas que a gente tem aqui em relação a eles que são países de primeiro mundo, que custa a gente acreditar.
É verdade, sem dúvidas, mas essa foi a reação desse vídeo. Então, se você gostou, aproveita para se inscrever, ative as notificações e deixe mais sugestões lá no nosso.
Muito obrigado por assistir esse vídeo e a gente se vê na próxima reação.
Tchau!